help, help, please. I'm downstairs.
Okay, who cut you?
This girl I was wanted to return to look at. I'm pregnant.
How far along are you?
7 months. She got me on my stomach.
Can you grab a towel or anything you can get in your hands and put it on your wound and press?
I'm bleeding out.
On March 18, 2015, two pregnant women meet in a Colorado apartment after connecting through a Craigslist ad for maternity clothes. But the encounter turns into a savage ambush, resulting in bloodshed and violence.
Did you have a C-section today?
No, she just came out.
Is there a probability that the baby won't match you?
No, she's mine.
The following is based on official police records, and most of the footage has never been seen before. At 2:30 p.m., Longmont 911 dispatchers receive a call from a woman struggling to remain conscious.
Green, please.
I can't understand the street.
Green, please.
Green place. Green like the color?
Yeah.
Tell me what happened.
She cut me.
Who cut you?
Downstairs. I don't know.
Okay, hold on.
I responded to.
Hang on.
Craigslist.
Hold on.
Please. I'm downstairs.
Okay, who cut you?
This girl I was wanted to return to look at.
What did she cut you with?
A knife. I'm pregnant. She got me on my stomach.
Okay.
I'm afraid.
She cut you in your stomach?
I'm pregnant.
Okay. What is the suspect's name?
I don't remember. I'm bleeding out.
I know you need to stay on the phone with me, okay? I'm getting everybody to you, okay?
With first responders on their way, the dispatcher tries desperately to keep her talking and collect vital information.
I need you to can you grab a towel or anything you can get in your hands and put it on your wound and press? How far along are you?
7 months.
7 months? Okay. Are you alone in the house?
I don't know.
You stay with me. Don't go to sleep. You stay with me. You're downstairs in the basement? And are you alone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I locked the door.
Don't you go to sleep, okay? You stay on the phone with me. Can you tell me, did she have any other weapons besides a knife?
She broke a glass.
She broke a glass? Did she stab you with the broken glass also?
Yeah.
Okay. You need to think real hard and tell me who it is that did this. Tell me the person's name. Think real hard, okay? Don't go to sleep. Stay with me. Tell me who it is.
I don't know. Help.
Everybody's on their way, okay?
Is that them?
Okay.
Are they ringing the doorbell? She cannot get to it.
Help.
Got everybody coming, okay? You hang with me. Don't hang up. Are they in the house yet?
She's downstairs?
Yeah, they're here.
Okay, I'll let you go.
A trail of blood and faint cries for help guide officers to the basement of an apartment, where they discover the victim, 26-year-old Michelle Wilkins, lying on a bed and clutching her lower abdomen. Close by, a broken bottle and blood-stained knife hint at a violent encounter. But her assailant, who she knows only as D, is nowhere to be found. Michelle tells officers that she's pregnant, but to their horror, it appears the baby may have been cut from her womb. She also appears to have been stabbed in the neck. They race Michelle in critical condition to Longmont Hospital, where moments earlier another woman had just entered clutching a newborn baby girl, claiming she had just given birth at home. The woman, 34-year-old Dynel Lane, and her fiancé Dave are tended to by hospital staff. But when officers at the crime scene realize they're standing inside Dynel's apartment, investigators move in to question her story.
I had my pants on, so I felt her coming out.
And how many babies have you had? 2? I heard you say daughters.
I have 2 daughters.
Okay.
By this point, Dynel's fiancé Dave had left the hospital to pick up Dynel's 2 daughters from school and wasn't present in the room.
So you're not sure how far along you were? Can you give a guess?
Honestly, I wish I could give you that answer. I think the first time I felt her move was in July or August. Just little, flutterby's, but...
And what are the cuts on your hand?
You know what? I don't know. I didn't even, when I came upstairs and she said that I cut my hand.
Okay. Okay, was anyone with you at your house today?
No, I've been by myself all day.
Okay.
Dynel's hand has several cuts, including one deep gash between her thumb and index finger.
Why don't you let them look at that and you don't have to put the baby down, just one hand at a time. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Are you bleeding badly?
I don't think so.
And you said you're not sure how that happened?
Yeah,
Okay. Looks like we need some stitches, and I'm not even a doctor.
You need some stitches, sweetie. So you don't know how you got these big cuts?
no.
Those are some pretty big cuts.
Given Dynel's claims she just gave birth, an obstetrician enters for a routine checkup.
Can I misfeel your uterus? I just want to make sure. I'm one of the OB doctors, Dr. Nelson. I just want to make sure.
I'm going to put your head
I
down.
just want to look and see if you're having any bleeding, okay?
I don't want to.
You have to let her go.
Sorry, what time did you have the baby?
I'm sorry. I don't remember what time it was.
Have you done any blood work yet?
Not yet. She won't let us start an IV or something yet.
Once she declines the exam, investigators waste no time confronting Dynel with what they know.
Okay, Dynel, I've got a problem. There was a young girl in the apartment, and she was cut. Because we've got officers there right now.
At my house?
Yes. Do you know how that happened?
I don't. There wasn't anybody there when I left. It
Okay.
was just me and my husband when we left.
Okay. Any chance that your girls were there?
No, they've been at school all day.
Okay. You don't know anything about the woman that was in your apartment?
No, I don't.
Okay.
There wasn't anybody there.
Police on scene locate Michelle's phone, the screen cracked and splattered with blood. Text messages exchanged between the two women suggest Michelle was planning to meet her to pick up clothes and arrived at her home around 11:51 a.m.
Well, unfortunately, I'm trying to figure some things out.
Okay.
And I'm going to need some help to do it.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you right now, things just aren't adding up. Because the young woman in your apartment has been injured very badly.
Okay.
I asked if you had any visitors today because we got a call to your apartment. When we got to your apartment, we found a young lady who had been cut open. Okay? She had a baby
Okay.
in her stomach that had been cut out. Okay? That woman was transferred here,
Okay.
and she arrived here probably a few minutes after you did by ambulance.
Hospital staff met with Michelle's boyfriend, providing him with an update on her current condition.
Okay. So it sounds like we've got where they just finished up in the operating room and they're taking her to the ICU. Okay. Which means they've got her, they found a way to get the bleeding stopped. Okay. The surgeon will be able to tell you what all they did and what they had to fix and everything like that. But she made it to surgery just fine. She likely will still have the breathing tube in that I put in and be breathing for her, okay? Just because she's so sick, okay? She lost a lot of blood.
Can I see her?
It's here. I know they're going to get her, she's going to go from the operating room through recovery to the ICU, so it's going to be a little bit to get her stabilized and all that. But I think as soon as they can, they'll let you see her.
What the fuck happened?
That's what he's got her.
Was she just physically assaulted?
She was also sick. Yeah.
Was she like sexually assaulted?
Oh, that I don't know.
By this point, the authorities were still piecing together the details themselves. However, the circumstances were enough to suspect the infant belonged to Michelle, and the newborn girl was separated from Dynel and kept under police watch.
Is your wife or your girlfriend? How long have you been dating?
Well, we've been friends for like 8 years. And then in August at a friend's wedding, we hooked up. He was living in North Carolina at the time, and we talked about it. And decided to try raising a kid together.
Are you all advertising to sell anything online?
So we were looking for various furniture. We had a lot of decorating to do.
Right.
And she has been doing Craigslist stuff.
With Michelle on a breathing tube and unable to answer questions, investigators turned to Dynel for answers. Despite the growing evidence against her, Dynel continues to claim that the baby she brought to the hospital is her own.
Is there anything truthful right now you want to tell me, Dynel?
I don't know what's going on, sir. I really wish I did. I'm just about as confused as you guys are.
When were you due? What's your due date?
We haven't been able to go to the doctor. It's been such a mess.
Do you have an approximate time? Like what month?
I wish I could tell you.
Did you have a C-section today or just regular delivery?
No, she came out. She just came out.
Vaginal?
Yeah.
Okay. But that was at your house?
Felt like, I can't even explain it. That was
Pretty quick event?
I walked up the stairs. I think I was halfway up the top stairs when she came out.
Was your husband home at the time, or?
He was on his way home, and he walked in the door. I don't know.
Back at the apartment, Dave pulled up in a silver sedan, only to find a strong police presence. Officers noted Dave had a large blood smear on the back of his right hand and spots of blood on his clothes. He told officers he arrived home at around 2:15 p.m. to take Dynel to a prenatal checkup. According to his statement, he explained he made it to the last basement step before Dynel appeared covered in blood, stating she had just given birth. After finding the baby upstairs in the bathtub, he raced the two to the hospital, never knowing he was one step away from the horrors police would soon find in the basement. Back at the hospital, investigators discussed the situation out of Dynel's earshot.
I knew things didn't add up when she said she felt the baby move last July.
She's got pictures on Facebook. They're saying she's pregnant last March. Like a year ago, March, right?
Dynel's Facebook page, which lists her as an assistant manager at Once Upon a Child, contains several photos of Dynel, who appears pregnant as early as March of 2014. Officers also found registries on the bump and pregnancy corner stating her due date in November. Based on this information, officers conclude she would have a 4 or 5 month old baby by now.
So you know that the blood tests are really going to confirm or deny exactly what's going on?
Yeah, that's what she said.
And if there is something, like I said, there's something strange right now is the best time to admit to what may have happened before the tests come back, because if that happens, it's probably going to look a little bad, a little more worse for you, you know? Is there a probability that the DNA for the baby won't match you?
No, she's mine.
However, Michelle is still unconscious and fitted with a breathing tube. Whether investigators will hear her side of the story depends entirely on her survival. The detective makes it clear to Dynel where the investigation stands at this point.
I just spoke with the nurse. You don't appear as if you just had a baby. You have a large cut on your hand that you can't explain. And we have a lot of stuff that went on over at your house that we can't explain.
Okay.
I don't believe that's your baby. And I need to find that out.
As a DNA test threatens to bring the truth to light, Dynel braces to tell her story. However, what she reveals is nowhere near what anyone expected to hear.
I put an ad on Craigslist for some maternity clothes that I had that don't fit because I had gotten a lot bigger and they just didn't fit.
The ad offered the items for free. Dynel explained that Michelle was one of many who responded and that she came to the house this morning to pick them up.
And we stood there and we talked about my kids and we talked about just anything. I don't know. I don't really get to talk to anybody during the day, so it was kind of nice to talk to somebody. And then the doorbell rang.
Dynel explains that the mailman arrived with a package containing essential oils that she was planning to sell, which she opened with a knife. Afterward, she showed Michelle some baby clothes, but Michelle wasn't interested.
I asked her, I said, I have an extra baby bath thing. I said, do you need one? And she said, let me look at it first. She said she didn't want it. And I was like, okay, well, she's like, well, I need to go. I was like, okay. So I turned around and before I knew it, she had, I think it was a knife that I had opened my box with that had been sitting on the counter. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, how I cut my hand. But she came at me and I just kind of reacted, and then we ended up in my daughter's room and she just kept trying to hit me. And I asked her, I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, stop. And defending myself, I was grasping at her and she was grasping at me. And like, I finally had gotten to the point where I had her down and I'm like, just stop. And she was just flailing, but she wouldn't stop. Like, and it just seemed like every time I would kind of get leverage, she would come at me again. She kept trying to punch me and she was like trying to bite me.
What happened next?
I think I choked her.
It wasn't until the following day that officers observed injuries to Michelle's neck, which had not been visible when she was first found. It appeared as though Michelle had been severely strangled.
It was a struggle. It was a big struggle. And I was yelling. I was trying to maybe get my neighbors to hear me. And I was trying to grab for her phone. But she, I think, had a lock on it. I'm not sure. But I was like, I need to call 911. And I strangled her because she wouldn't stop.
Okay.
Was she saying anything to you?
I don't remember. I don't think so. She wouldn't stop.
Do you have any other injuries on your person besides your hand? Yeah. Why do you think your hand is so swollen? Did you hit something or?
I think I hit her back, and I'm not sure if I hit her or the wall when I was laying on the bed and she was over me and she was trying to hit me, but she wasn't hitting me. Like, during the struggle, I think we kind of flipped over and I was on her.
Dynel goes on to reveal the horrifying decision that followed.
After she stopped moving, I got scared and I started thinking about the baby. I thought I killed her. I was like, I killed this woman. They always tell you not to do things by yourself on Craigslist, but I didn't. It was a pregnant woman. I didn't think anything of it. I thought I killed her, and I didn't want the baby to die too. I'm not this kind of person. I don't do stuff like this. Like, I didn't know what to do.
We're not judging you, Dynel.
I know. I'm judging myself. What do you do in a situation like that? Like, I reacted. I got the knife that she had, and I tried to get the baby out.
Okay, is that the baby that's in the other room?
It's her baby.
Okay.
She's not mine. She's not mine.
Okay.
Following the critical admission that the child was not in fact her own, she reveals what happened next.
The girl was moaning and she was crying. No, she wasn't crying. She was just making like breathing sounds. And I got scared.
Okay. Where'd you put the baby when you took the baby upstairs?
In the bathtub. It was empty. I just sat her in there.
Okay. Okay, so she was moaning and making some noise.
I know I should have said something then, but I didn't. I just got scared. I just left her there.
Okay, and when your husband came in, what happened?
Oh, the baby was in the bathtub.
Whose baby did he think it was?
Ours.
Are you pregnant? Did he think you've been pregnant?
I wanted to tell him so bad. I was pregnant.
When were you pregnant?
Downtown April 1st last year.
Okay.
But it was his first baby. And I never thought I could have another one after I lost my son.
Dynel shares that her son passed away 12 years ago when he was just 18 months old, the details of which will later come to light.
My girls had been through so much. I wanted to live. Just another lost baby. I felt like it was my fault. I didn't go to the doctor, and I didn't tell him that I lost the baby.
What was your plan?
No. I was going to tell him so many times, and he'd ask me, what was going on, and everybody was confused.
What were they confused about?
Just why it was taking so long.
Detectives began speaking with people close to Dynel to get more information about her pregnancy and behavior leading up to the attack. One friend mentioned seeing her on the 4th of July weekend, 9 months before the attack.
And did she look pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. She had like a little belly. She had like just a little baby bump that was taken in June.
Investigators also spoke with Dynel's 2 teenage daughters, who at this point knew very little about the unfolding situation.
When was she due, She was due first December, and we moved up to November, and then December again. Could you tell that your mom was getting bigger and the baby was ready to celebrate then? Not really. No? So for being pregnant.
Mom said she's going to have a little boy named James.
Dynel's family hosted a baby shower for little James in September of 2014, when Dynel would have been 7 or 8 months pregnant. The jungle-themed party featured a cake reading, "Welcome, James."
Was she pretty excited? Yeah. How about David? Was he excited? This was his first time. Being a father, so he was really excited.
But the excitement began to wane after Dynel's due date came and went. Still, she kept up the facade, telling her friend pregnancy has been such a nightmare, blaming doctors for incorrect due dates. In several messages to one woman, Dynel claimed to have already had the baby, stating it was a natural birth. Several photos of a baby boy were found on her cell phone, but investigators traced the image to a public website. However, by March 2015, nearly 4 months after she was supposed to give birth, she still appeared pregnant to Dave.
She just wouldn't tell me anything, and then she kept saying she set up appointments and stuff like that, and we're ready to go, and then something would happen, and we wouldn't go. I was frustrated because I didn't know what was going on with the pregnancy. I thought there might have been something wrong with the baby or something wrong with her, and she wasn't telling me. I was so stressed out because I'd ask her every other day, when can we go? Let's go to the emergency room right now. Let's go check it out.
Pretty much throughout the school year, he's been trying to get her to a doctor, and when she's, every time it was a time for her to go, something would happen.
Dave describes one instance where he finally went with her to an appointment, but it didn't go as expected.
Yeah, and she didn't even sign and didn't even do anything. We're just sitting in this waiting room like fools, and people are looking at us like, people going in and going out, and we're just sitting there. Did that happen a lot? Or? It happened quite a few times. It happened at the salute place up here at least 3 times. There was a milestone at the hospital. We went there, and they were like, "We don't even know who you are. You're not in our system." I mean, once you're just sitting there, what caused? She would get upset. She'd be like, "Oh, we're not going to be seen. They don't want to help us." And throw a fit, and then we'd leave. She'd be like, "I'm done with this. Let's go."
After they left the appointment, Dynel returned the same night, but this time she went alone.
And they came back and showed me the wristband from the emergency room so she could prove to me that she went. And then she had a recording of a heartbeat on the phone, and she was like, "This is our son's heartbeat." And told me he was 128 beats a minute. This is it. And I listened to that thing for days. And I was like, what's going on? Yeah. One thing I'd like to know is, if she was ever pregnant at any point in the last year.
The answer to Dave's question may remain unanswered, and a shocking revelation from one of her friends only deepens the mystery.
Did you ever know her to have any other miscarriages?
No. After all this has happened, I feel like we put a lot on her. And maybe it's just a friend feeling guilty, but we made this baby to be the miracle baby because she couldn't have the kids. You know what I mean? Died, she wanted another one and she couldn't, she was fixed.
You knew she had she was fixed?
Mm-hmm.
One of her 2 ex-husbands, Chris, also shared this claim with investigators.
Did you guys ever talk about having kids?
No, because right off the bat, she told me that her tubes were tied, so.
She told you right off the bat?
Yeah, a couple weeks in or whatever, but.
After you were married or when you were?
Just still dating.
Okay.
Yeah, and she told me about her son that she lost with her previous ex-husband and everything.
Okay.
Jason, her first ex-husband and the father of her 2 daughters, shared what happened to their son and how the loss impacted Dynel.
He drowned in a pond. It was at their grandparents' house, and she just lost track of him, and he wandered out to the back. And
Dynel lost track of him?
Yeah.
Okay, and it was.
She was there with them. I was out picking up a swing set with her dad.
Okay.
And she lost track of him, and he wandered out into the backyard pond and fell in there. And she found him, tried to do CPR.
Okay.
But we ended up losing him. He was 18 months old.
How'd Dynel take that?
She took it hard.
Took it hard.
She took it hard. I tried to be as supportive as I could during that time, but You know, that's a mother losing a child.
Yeah, totally.
It's gonna mess with.
Did you notice a real change in her?
To be honest with you, yeah. I mean, we ended up divorced.
In her interview with investigators, Dynel admitted to having the procedure.
Girl Dad made me get my tubes tight because he didn't want any more children. And it was a few months after that my son died.
The weirdest thing was she said it sucked that like her tubes were tight because we would have such a cute baby, and that was about it. But after we broke up, I know she like told my one friend Selena that she had a miscarriage while we were together, and I was like, how is that even possible? Like, her tubes are tied. So
yeah. So how long did you know her before then, before you got married?
Maybe like 4 months. It was kind of a stupid, just real quick. We thought we were in love. Yeah.
Well, love is blind.
Yeah.
That was the best of us.
Hey, I'm glad it didn't work out.
Jason explains he learned about what happened when his daughter posted about it on Facebook, leaving him concerned with how much the girls know regarding the situation with their mother.
You know, I don't know how much they know now. I would guess they know a fair amount based on just all the media coverage. A lot of it's out in the press. Some of it, like I said, is not totally accurate. Some of it's more accurate. The general story, everyone knows the general story.
She did show up in the hospital, though?
Dynel?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she was contacted at the hospital.
All right, and then the other story, part of the story that I want to confirm is she actually did remove the fetus from the mother?
That's what it looks like.
During questioning, investigators didn't disclose what happened to either teenager. The oldest was understandably confused, having just returned from school to find police at her house.
I wondered what's going on. Why was the house blocked on? Right. It's not what you're expecting, right? The mom said she has a baby and now the house is blocked off. It doesn't seem to go together.
It's clear the experience left a deep mark as Dynel's oldest daughter struggled to hold back tears in the interview room. The youngest was left confused, writing in a statement, "This whole thing is pretty weird. I just wish I knew what is happening. I just want to go home and have a normal life again." In addition to speaking with family and friends, investigators attempted to get information from Dynel's co-workers at Once Upon a Child, but the manager confirmed she's never been employed with any of their stores.
Never had anything like this ever happen to me. I've never, even in school, I never hit anyone. Why would somebody do that to you? I mean, I just don't understand. Like, I know it looks so much worse on my part because I had to defend myself, and then if I did something really bad, I need to go to jail. I've always been that person. I thought about that for everybody else, and I never thought it would ever have to be me, but...
Well, what should happen to the other lady, you think?
I don't know.
Do you think she's a guilty person for what happened, or is she more of an innocent person?
I don't know.
Can I ask you a question? You described it one way. I'm just going to play devil's advocate for a minute, okay? Could you have possibly felt the need to have a child, and because of such, you went after her?
No, I didn't. Honestly, I've been wanting to tell my husband that I wasn't pregnant for quite a while. It was just kind of trying to find the words to tell him.
So why would you tell your baby upstairs?
I think it was just kind of like a moment's reaction, and I didn't know what to do.
Dave would later reveal an important detail to police that may shed light on Dynel's decision. For now, Dynel finally asks about Michelle's condition.
You know what happened to her.
So I do know she's out of surgery, whether it be stitched up or I don't know how bad she was and things like that.
Is she alive?
Yes, she's
alive. Oh.
Well, last that I know.
I'm glad she's okay. I hope she's okay.
Against all odds, Michelle survived the brutal attack. Nearly 2 weeks later, still recovering from her injuries, she sat down with detectives to deliver an emotional account of the horrors she endured in that basement on March 18th.
Can tell which rooms are for the suspects. Like, so usually I interview my suspects in this room. Really? Mm-hmm. Make them more comfortable. Yes. It works. How are you feeling today? I don't know. It's so unreal. I had a lot of vivid dreams. And I just woke up a lot last night. It's like some nights I sleep all the way through and some nights I wake up a lot.
Working through that. It's going to take time. It's not one of those things you get over right away. You'll probably never get over it. You'll get through it.
I had, I had a panic attack afterwards, and, really late at night, and, scared the crap out of me. So,
how's he doing?
It's hard to say because, a lot of his energy is dedicated towards, helping me in a lot of ways, but it's, I really want him to come to therapy because it's, both of us. This happened to both of us.
Michelle begins by explaining what happened when she first arrived at Dynel's apartment.
So when I got there, I didn't really have anything to do. There wasn't a rush, and she talked about how, kind of lonely she was because her daughters would get home from school and didn't want to hang out, and her husband
She referred to him as husband a lot.
Okay. Yeah, so her husband would, go to the gym right after he got home work really late. So she kind of, it sounded lonely, and, every time I was kind of oh, well, I'm going to go do this, and she would just keep talking. So I was just maybe she's just like that, she's just lonely.
When you're talking, did she say she was pregnant? Or
yeah, she said it was due any day now, and she, had a belly. I thought she looked really small. When I saw her, I thought, man, she's skinny to be, over 9 months pregnant. She said it was due, March 3rd, and that was late, so it was supposed to come any time. She was asking me, if I needed anything. And I said, that we pretty much had it, all we needed was a crib.
When you talked about having a girl, do you remember what she said?
I just remember her kind of saying nice things about having girls. She's had 2, and I think she started talking about her girls and how much I think she said something to the effect of that she liked girls better, that it was yeah. I just remember her saying positive things about girls, but I don't remember specifically what she said.
Okay. When you guys were talking, were you down in the entryway? Were you upstairs?
Sure, upstairs, standing. We had gone to the bedroom, and we had gone through the clothes, and she took out stuff she thought would be too big for me, and then put it all in a plastic bag.
Things took a dark turn when Michelle made the decision to leave.
Eventually, I just started walking towards the door, and that's when the door was open. I just feel like such an idiot for not leaving then.
Don't beat yourself up over it.
Right there. You're right at the door. She actually closed it in front of me and said, "Oh, I think I have some stuff for you downstairs." She reached over in front of me and closed the door. Let me show you some stuff downstairs. And I think I have some girl clothes.
She followed Dynel into the basement, unaware that she would soon be fighting for her life.
She actually looked like she was rummaging through some stuff to find stuff. Yeah, so that's when she was kind of looking through stuff. And I sort of just started backing out at that point. I was no, I really don't need anything. And so I just started walking out instead of leaving. But it's really nice for you. Thanks for letting me see your lovely home.
This is when Michelle attempted to leave for a second time.
So you went back toward the stairs, and she was still behind you?
Yeah.
Do you remember where you were standing when she first hit you in the chest?
She hit me from behind.
She hit from behind. Okay.
And I asked her, I thought it's there's a spider on me or something, because she hit me really hard with the flat of her palm as I was going up the stairs.
Okay.
And that's when I was did I have a spider on me? And she said, I think I got it. And she pulled my sweater and swung me around facing the other direction and started lifting up my sweater really roughly and I was what the hell is on my back, and I was just turned around and was hey, what are you doing? And she was you hit me, this is my house, what are you doing? And I was just I thank you for the baby clothes, I don't want to hurt you, I just want to leave. And that's when she started praying that she wanted to call the cops and trying to shove me into the bathroom.
And you didn't get into the bathroom at all?
No, I was and that's when I kind of resisted with my body and was the whole situation was just fucking bizarre. I didn't do anything, I just wanted to leave.
Michelle's story is corroborated by what she told dispatchers in her 911 call as she struggled to maintain consciousness following the attack.
Were you having a fight?
I was leaving.
You were just trying to leave?
While Michelle's recollection is fuzzy after that, evidence indicates she was strangled and bashed over the head with a glass lava lamp. During her first hospital interview, she recalled Dynel saying, "If you love me, you'll let me do this," before stabbing her in the neck with a broken edge of the lava lamp. Then, Michelle lost consciousness. It was after this that Dynel took a knife and began performing a procedure known as a cesarean section. A doctor who examined Michelle's wound at the hospital told investigators it was well performed, and to achieve the level of accuracy, one would have to have researched the procedure. While no such research was found on her phone or laptop, it's worth mentioning that Dynel was a former certified nursing assistant. Blood smeared on the washer and dryer, as well as glass shards found inside the washing machine, indicated Dynel attempted to clean up the crime scene before her fiancé Dave arrived home unexpectedly. According to his written statement, Dynel called him to see if he'd left work yet and asked him to go run an errand at her daughter's school. She sounded out of breath, so he made the decision to go home and check on her, only to find her covered in blood, claiming to have just given birth at home. They left for the hospital, which provided Michelle the opportunity to call for help.
Ready to be done? Okay.
It's hard to get over. It's like the one thing I kept asking, like the whole time it was happening, it was just like, why?
Investigators learned that Dave's suspicions had reached a breaking point. Dave confided in a friend who shared his concerns with his wife, Kimberly. She then posted the information to a Facebook group, stating that Dynel's whole pregnancy has been sketchy, adding that she's several months overdue and refusing to go to the doctor. The post caught the attention of a bereavement doula named Elizabeth, who stated this is a red flag, adding that if she's desperate, she may do the unmentionable and harm the mother and take the baby. Iwu reached out to Elizabeth, who told us she was kicked out of the Facebook group for suggesting this outcome was a possibility. 1 month following the Facebook post, Dynel told a friend she wanted to meet her roommate who was pregnant and stopped by their house. However, the roommate wasn't home. It's unclear if she'd been actively searching for a victim at the time. However, one thing was certain: Dynel's time was running out. She messaged a friend on Facebook in late February, revealing that Dave was ready to call it quits.
I gave her an ultimatum. I was like, by the 1st of March, I want to go to a doctor's appointment with you. And if that doesn't happen, then I don't know if I can do this anymore.
In a series of text messages between Dave and a man named John, he writes, "She's been lying to me. She has an appointment, and if I don't go to this one and find out what the hell is going on, she's gone." The appointment, which her daughter believed was to induce a labor, was set for March 16th, but was missed and rescheduled for the afternoon of March 18th. That morning, Dynel lured Michelle to her home, viciously attacked her, and stole her baby. She then brought the premature baby girl to the hospital, but the infant showed no signs of life. Michelle and her boyfriend were briefly reunited with their daughter, who weighed just over 3 pounds, and named her Aurora. 34-year-old Dynel Lane was charged with multiple counts, including first-degree attempted murder, 2 counts of first-degree assault with a deadly weapon causing serious bodily injury, 2 counts of second-degree assault causing injury with a deadly weapon, and unlawful termination of pregnancy in the first degree. She entered a plea of not guilty, but was ultimately found guilty of all charges at her trial in February 2016 and sentenced to 100 years in prison. She's currently serving her sentence at the Denver Women's Correctional Facility in Colorado.
Judgment, which made it worse. And we know Stephen did it. We know about the box. We know about the battery. Valerie started at the images. Her mind tried to reject them, to overlay the image of Stephen, who made her coffee and wrote bad poetry over this carnage. But the pictures were stubborn. Carna zero, amone, inana zero. They demanded to be seen. "We need your help," Valerie, the other agent, Ashley Maracle, said. "We need you to get him to admit it." "You want me to be a spy?" Valerie asked, the word tasting like ash. "We want you to be a cooperating witness." Vicencia corrected. "We're planning a trip. A weekend away. Just the 2 of you. Romantic. Malibu." Valerie felt a laugh bubble up in her throat, hysterical and sharp. "We'll pay for the hotel," Vicencia said. "But you have to sign some papers. We need consent to place listening devices in the room. In your car. On you." Valerie looked at the agents, then back at the photos. She thought of Ildiko, a woman she had never met, but whose ghost now haunted her relationship. She thought of the cute little bunny Ildiko was described as. If Stephen had done this, if the man she slept beside was capable of vaporizing a human being. Okay, Valerie whispered. I want you to catch the person who did this, even if it's Stephen. Oh, 5-5. Oh, the preparation was surgical. The FBI didn't just book a room, they staged a theater. Valerie stood in front of the mirror in a hotel room that cost more per night than she made in a week. She held up a necklace. It was a delicate thing, a pendant that caught the light. Oh, look what I found, she said, pitching her voice to a register of surprised delight. Stephen was unpacking his bag. He didn't know. He didn't know that inside the pendant was a microphone, transmitting his voice to a van parked discreetly down the road. He didn't know that the lamp next to the bed was bugged. He didn't know that the walls had ears. There's not just two people in the room, Valerie thought, a cold sweat pricking her skin. There's 25, and 23 of them are watching. The weekend was designed to be an idyll. It was supposed to be the setting where defenses lowered, where secrets spilled out over a second glass of wine. They walked through the vineyards, the Pacific Ocean, a shimmering backdrop. The air smelled of sage and dust. Ask him, the agents had coached her. Stephen, Valerie started, her voice trembling slightly. She cleared her throat. It's so beautiful here. It makes you realize how fragile everything is. Stephen nodded, looking at the vines. Nature is resilient, Val. It finds a way. Section, nature, tuofi, like the spa. She pivoted, clumsy but determined. It's just so awful. Do you think the police are any closer? Do you worry about it? Stephen stopped. He turned to her. The wind ruffled his gray hair. For a second, Valerie expected the mask to slip. She expected the flash of rage, the venom the prosecutors talked about. She expected him to grab her shoulders and hiss. Instead, he sighed. A long, weary, philosophical sigh. I hope they find peace, Val, he said. Dwelling on the tragedy, it eats you up. We have to move forward. We have to live our lives. He was so calm, so maddeningly, terrifyingly calm. He was either the most innocent man in California, or he was a monster who had excised his own conscience with a scalpel. Valerie touched the pendant at her throat. Are you getting this? She screamed internally. Is this enough? It wasn't. They went to dinner. They drank wine. They slept in the bugged bed. It was a nightmare, she would later say. Extremely stressful. The FBI agents in the van adjusted their headphones, frustration mounting. They wanted a confession. They wanted a breakdown. What they got was a performance of perfect normalcy. Stephen Beale was uncrackable. He didn't take the bait. He didn't get angry. He was the cool, calm, and collected center of his own universe. By Sunday, Valerie was exhausted, and she had nothing to show for it but a free hotel stay and a sense of profound betrayal, not of Stephen, but of herself. I tried very hard, she whispered to the empty bathroom, touching the cold metal of the necklace. But as they drove home, Stephen reached over and patted her hand. That was nice, wasn't it? He said. We should do this more often. Leave the world behind. Valerie looked out the window as the coastline blurred. She knew then that the performance wasn't over. It was just beginning, and she was trapped on stage with a man who might just be the greatest actor she had ever known. The Aliso Protocol, based on the true events of the Aliso Viejo bombing. Prologue. The architecture of silence. Aliso Viejo is a lie, but it is a comfortable one. It is a leafy green wedge of the suburban sprawl that constitutes Southern California's mythic Orange County. It is a place designed for people who have made it, or at least people who want to look like they have. The streets are wide and curved, discouraging speed. The stucco on the houses is painted in varying shades of beige and sandstone, colors chosen by a committee to mimic the desert earth that was scraped away to build them. Here, the real housewives live their best lives just down the road. It is a place where the air smells of jasmine and exhaust, where the loudest sound is usually the landscaping crew's leaf blower on a Tuesday morning. Not a lot happens in Aliso Viejo, and around here, the residents like it that way. But silence is not peace. On May 15, 2018, the silence was not broken. It was obliterated. At 10 p.m., the sun was high and indifferent. Inside the two-story commercial building on Mare Blue, a street named after a sea, no one here could see. Life was mundane. Clients were getting eyelashes extended. Teeth were being cleaned. Insurance policies were being signed. In Suite 105, the air smelled of lavender and aceton. Ildiko Krajniak, a woman who carried the old world in her accent and the new world in her ambition, stood over a cardboard box. She was tired. Her life was a series of compartments: mother, wife, lover, business owner, and the walls between them were becoming paper thin. She looked at the box on the counter. It was a standard brown cardboard package, innocuous, boring. It looked like a delivery of supplies. Waxes, perhaps, or new creams. And new creams. Τελειφαράσουν τελειμό. The woman standing near her, a client and friend, watched idly. Ildiko reached for the flaps. There was no ticking sound, no dramatic hum, just the sound of tape tearing, a sound like dry skin peeling away. Chemistry is a precise and unforgiving God. It does not care about your love life. It does not care about your regrets. It only cares about reactants and catalysts. When Ildiko pulled the flap, she completed a circuit. A 9-volt battery, purchased from a CVS down the street, sent a jolt of electricity into a homemade igniter. The flash powder didn't burn. It detonated. The shock wave moved faster than the speed of sound. Before Ildiko's brain could register the flash of light, her existence was unmade. The ceiling tiles vaporized. The walls buckled. The glass front of the building blew outward into the parking lot, showering the asphalt with diamonds of safety glass. A mile away, Holly Salcedo was eating lunch when the boom rattled her windows. It wasn't a car backfiring. It was a sound deep in the gut, a sound of geological finality. That's weird, she whispered to an empty room. On Mare Blue, the silence returned, but now it was the ringing silence of deafness, followed immediately by the screams. Chapter Ena, the Magyar Rose. 3 days earlier, Ildiko Krajniak was a woman who collected people. She was 48, but she possessed an energy that defied the calendar. She was the kind of woman who, when she touched your arm and laughed, made you feel as if you were the only person in the universe. She was a beautician, an aesthetician, but really, she was a confessor. To Holly Salcedo, she was a lifeline. Holly sat in the chair, her eyes closed, feeling Ildiko's cool, skilled hands applying a mask. You are tense. Dragam, Ildiko said, her Hungarian accent thickening the vowels. You worry too much. It's just life, Ildiko, Holly murmured. How was the trip home? To Budapest? Ildiko paused. Her hands hovered over Holly's face. It was necessary. I needed to breathe. The air here, in California, sometimes it is too thin. Too many eyes. Holly opened one eye. Is everything okay with Nilo? Ronilo Vastil, Ildiko's husband of 22 years. A good man, a quiet man. He took care of Ildiko's mother. He raised their college-aged son, Keanu. But the marriage had been a cold ember for a long time. They lived together, ate together, but they did not sleep together. Nilo is Nilo, Ildiko said, resuming the massage. He is safe. But a woman cannot live on safety alone, Holly. We need fire. Tenerider, Teneridera. Amazaso, Holly knew about the fire. Everyone close to Ildiko knew, though they pretended not to. Ildiko had a voracious appetite for adoration. There were men, always men, a revolving door of suitors who brought her flowers, took her to dinners, and made her feel wanted. There was Laszlo, the man she'd been with in Hungary. There was Scott, the new one, the one with the grey hair she'd met at a casino. There was the doctor. And then there was Stephen. Has he been bothering you? Holly asked quietly. Ildiko sighed, a sharp exhalation through her nose. Stephen? No. He is. He is around. We are partners in the business. He signed the lease. What can I do? Stephen Beale, the retired executive, the actor, the man with the sad eyes and the desperate need to be useful. He was the one who helped build the spa, who managed the finances when the numbers got too complicated. They had dated, a whirlwind romance of travel and exclusivity, until Ildiko felt the cage closing in. She had pulled away. She had started seeing others. Stephen had stayed. He accepted the demotion from lover to business partner, from soulmate to roommate, with a terrifying kind of grace. He still loves you, Holly warned. He loves the idea of me, Ildiko corrected. Ildiko finished the treatment and wiped her hands on a towel. She looked in the mirror, inspecting her own reflection. Blonde hair, bright eyes, a smile that could hide 1,000 secrets. She checked her phone. A text from Stephen. Welcome home. I'll stop by the spa later to check the receipts. Another text from Laszlo. Miss you already. Another from Scott. Dinner tonight? From Scott. Dinner tonight? From Scott. Dinner tonight? She felt a thrill, a chaotic surge of dopamine. I have to go, Ildiko said, untying her apron. She didn't know that the rent was already paid. Chapter Dio, the Rocket Man. Stephen Beale lived in a world of his own curation. There were headshots from his acting career roles where he played doctors, grandfathers, men of authority. There were scripts for movies he hadn't written yet. And there was the garage. The garage was his sanctuary. It smelled of oxidizers and sulfur. Stephen was 60 years old, a widower. His first wife had died mysteriously, a suicide, or an accident, or something in between. He had raised his children alone. He was a man who felt things deeply, perhaps too deeply. When he loved, he submerged himself. When he lost, he drowned. He stood at his workbench, looking at a PVC pipe. He had been a hobbyist for years. High-powered rocketry. It was a noble pursuit, he told himself. The mastery of physics. The control of fire. He picked up a container of aluminum powder. It was fine, silvery dust, dangerous if mishandled, beautiful if respected. He thought of Ildiko. He remembered the day they met. He had recorded them, his voice trembling with emotion, sending them to her so she could fall asleep to his love. I love how. But then, the change. The password to her phone changed. The whispered phone calls. The lies. He knew she was seeing other men. He wasn't stupid. He was observant. He had seen the text messages in Hungarian. He had taken photos of them with his own phone, intending to translate them later, to prove to himself the depth of her betrayal. She thought she was clever. She thought he was just the old man who paid the bills, the business partner she could keep on a shelf. Stephen poured a precise amount of chemical onto a scale. He wasn't angry. That was the thing people wouldn't understand. He wasn't in a rage. Rage was hot and messy. This was cold. This was clarity. She had humiliated him. Not just privately, but existentially. She had taken his devotion and turned it into a currency to fund her affairs with other men. He walked to the kitchen and opened a drawer. He pulled out a CVS receipt, a 9-volt battery, a roll of duct tape. He checked his calendar. May the 10th. She would be at the spa. She would be opening the mail. She loved opening packages. It was like Christmas to her. Stephen sat down at his computer. He opened a search engine. His fingers hovered over the keys. Do narcissists beat polygraphs? He smiled. Chapter 3, Ground Zero. May 15, 2018, 1:15 p.m. Orange County Sheriff's Deputy Jack Ackerman was the first to arrive. The call had come in as a structure fire, but the moment he stepped out of his cruiser, he knew that was a euphemism. The smell hit him first. It wasn't the smell of burning wood or melting plastic, which was typical for a house fire. It was the sharp, metallic tang of sulfur. Fireworks. Gunpowder. Everybody get back, he shouted, his hand resting on his holster. Everybody back. The scene was chaos. The parking lot was covered in debris, drywall, insulation, glass, and other things. Ackerman saw a piece of what looked like human tissue on the hood of a white Lexus. He swallowed, the bile rising in his throat. Is anybody hurt? He yelled to a dazed woman sitting on the curb, ash covering her hair. Inside, she pointed. Ildiko. She's inside. Ackerman moved toward the gaping maw of the building. The bottom floor, Suite 105, was gutted. The ceiling had collapsed. Wires hung like jungle vines. He stepped over a pile of rubble. He saw the crater. It wasn't in the ground. It was on the countertop. The granite was shattered. 2-way 3. Ackerman keyed his radio. I've got body parts. Loss of life is a guarantee. He backed out. This wasn't a gas leak. Gas leaks blow walls out. They don't shred bodies into confetti. This was high explosives. In his mind, Ackerman flashed back to March, Texas. The serial bomber who had been sending packages to people's porches. Was this a copycat? Was this terrorism? Aliso Viejo was a soft target, a day spa. It made no sense, unless it was personal. By 2:00 p.m., the bomb squad was there. Agent Nick Vicencia, tall and sharp-suited, took command of the perimeter. Who is the victim? Owner of the spa, Ackerman said. Ildiko Krajniak. We have 2 survivors. Critical, transported to the hospital. They said she opened the box. A mail bomb, Vicencia said, his eyes narrowing. Postal service? Unknown. Witnesses say it looked like a regular package. Vicencia looked at the crowd gathering behind the yellow tape. We need to find the family. The husband. The boyfriend. Anyone who knew her. We got a call. A deputy approached them. Guy named Stephen Beale. Says he's her business partner. He called the non-emergency line. Said he heard there was an explosion and he's worried. Where is he? At his house. In Long Beach. Go, Vicencia said. Now. Or he's the one who sent it. Ackerman finished the thought. Chapter 10, The Visit. The drive to Long Beach took 30 minutes. Ackerman and a team of FBI agents pulled up to Stephen Beale's house. It was a modest, 2-story home. The front door opened before they could knock. Stephen Beale stood there. He was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. He looked calm. Too calm? Or just in shock? Mr. Beale? Ackerman asked. Yes. Is she? Have you heard? We are here to make sure you're safe, sir, Ackerman said, stepping onto the porch. We understand you're her business partner. There was a device. Stephen's eyes widened. A bomb? We believe so. Are there any packages here that you aren't expecting? Alate, sushinasi nachatre, kanatona, alate kanasi, alalate nafe, alate la. Stephen pointed inside. Just. I got some deliveries today. For the house. Remodeling. Ackerman looked past him. In the hallway, there was a stack of 3 cardboard boxes. Step out of the house, please, sir. They evacuated him to the patrol car. The bomb squad went in. They X-rayed the boxes. Benign. Just remodeling supplies. Ackerman sat in the car with Stephen. The air conditioning was blasting. Stephen. Who would want to hurt Ildiko? Stephen shook his head, looking out the window at his neighbor's manicured lawns. I don't know. She was loved. Everybody loved her. She was an angel. Any enemies? Jealous ex-boyfriends? Stephen paused. She dated. A lot. There were 5 or 6. Ackerman raised an eyebrow. She liked attention, Stephen said, his voice dropping to a mournful register. And her husband, Nilo. I assume he knew. What about you, Stephen? We, 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 were together, exclusive, for a while. Then we became partners, best friends. I loved her. Did you love her, or were you in love with her? Stephen looked Ackerman in the eye. Does it matter now? She's gone. Ackerman nodded. We need to search the house, Stephen. Just to rule you out. Standard procedure. Just to rule you. Of course, Stephen said. I have nothing to hide. But, just so you know, I do have some hobbies. Hobbies? Rocketry? Stephen said. And some pyrotechnics. I used to make fireworks. For the kids. A long time ago, Ackerman felt some chemicals in the garage. But I haven't touched them in years. Ackerman stepped out of the car and walked over to Agent Vicencia. He admits to having explosive precursors in the garage, Ackerman whispered. He's a rocket hobbyist. Vicencia looked at Stephen Beale, sitting quietly in the back of the cruiser, watching the world go by. Get a warrant, Vicencia said. Tear that house apart. Chapter Pende. The red herring. The jealous wife. While the bomb squad descended on Bill's garage, Agent Ashley Maracle was assigned to the other men. The list was dizzying. First, the husband. He was found at the scene, frantic, trying to cross the police line. He wasn't angry about the affairs. He seemed resigned to them. He spoke of Ildiko with reverence. He handed over his phone immediately. I just want to know if she suffered. Ronnie Lowe wept. They put a surveillance team on him anyway, just in case. Then, there were the pups, Elizabeth and Gabor. Elizabeth Pup was a woman scorned, and she didn't care who knew it. When the FBI knocked on her door, she didn't look surprised. I didn't kill her, Elizabeth said, standing in her doorway, arms crossed. You sent her threatening messages, Agent Maracle noted, holding a printout. Photos. You told her to stay away from your husband. She was sleeping with Gabor, Elizabeth shouted. In her spa, I caught them. She destroyed my family. She taunted me. Where were you today at 10 p.m.? At work. Check my beds, swipe. And your husband? With me. We're trying to fix things. Unlike her. I fight for my marriage. They searched the pup's house. They found anger. They found resentment. But they found no chemicals. No pipes. No batteries rigged for detonation. Elizabeth Pup was a weapon of emotional destruction, not physical. That left the new guy. He was the one seen with Ildiko that morning. Witnesses said she shooed him off outside the spa. When they found Scott, he was confused. They checked the airport footage. There was Scott, dutifully waiting at baggage claim. He looked like a puppy dog, but then the investigators saw something else on the tapes. Ildiko hadn't flown directly from Hungary to LA. She had stopped in San Francisco. And on the surveillance video from SFO, she wasn't alone. She was walking with another man, a man with dark hair and a confident stride, Laszlo Szabo. Who is Laszlo? Vicencia asked. The room back at the command post. Another boyfriend, Ackerman said, pinning a photo to the board. He was in Hungary with her. They flew back together, then split up in San Francisco so she could fly home to Scott. My God, Vicencia rubbed his temples. She had a rotation. It's a dangerous game, Ackerman said. Someone got bumped from the rotation, and someone got angry. Chapter Xe, The Alchemist's Garage. Back in Long Beach, the sun had set, but Stephen Bill's house was lit up by floodlights. The neighbors stood on their lawns, arms crossed, watching the hazmat suits go in and out. Inside the garage, the bomb technicians were stunned. It wasn't just a few leftover chemicals. It was an arsenal. They found jars of potassium perchlorate, aluminum powder, magnesium, the ingredients for flash powder, the exact substance used in the bomb. They found tubes, fuses, switches, and they found something else. In the debris of the spa, the lab had recovered the casing of a battery, a 9-volt. Specifically, a CVS brand a 9-volt battery. In Stephen's house, in a junk drawer, they found a 9-volt battery. But the smoking gun was in the trash can, or rather, not in the trash, but in the digital footprint. May 8th, CVS, Pharmacy, cash purchase. May 11th, Staples, purchase of a 12 PX EPX cardboard box. The box matched the description of the bomb. The battery matched the detonator. The chemicals matched the explosive. They brought Stephen in for formal questioning. The interview room was cold, the walls lined with soundproofing foam. Stephen, Ackerman said, sitting opposite him. We found the chemicals. A lot of chemicals. I told you, Stephen said, leaning back. Rocketry. It's a passion. We found a purchase for a box. I'm remodeling. Stephen shrugged. I buy boxes. I buy batteries. Who doesn't buy batteries? Stephen. Did you know Ildiko was seeing Laszlo? Stephen didn't flinch. I knew she had friends. We found photos on your phone. Photos of her, texts with Laszlo. You were translating them. Why? Stephen sighed. Curiosity. Look, I'm a writer. I'm writing a screenplay. Stephen sighed. I'm writing a screenplay. A screenplay? Yes. About a soccer mom, who is also an assassin. Stephen smiled. A genuine, unsettling smile. It's a comedy. Dark comedy. She kills people, but she still has to make the bake sale. Ackerman stared at him. Stephen, this isn't a movie. Life illuminates art, Stephen said cryptically. Then, he leaned forward. Do you like magic? Excuse me? Magic. Stephen reached behind Ackerman's ear. His hand moved with surprising speed. He pulled a coin out from behind the detective's ear. Ta-da, Stephen whispered. Ackerman recoiled. The man was either a sociopath or totally dissociated from reality. Stephen Beale, Ackerman said, standing up. It wasn't a murder charge. As they handcuffed him, Stephen looked at the coin in his hand. He flipped it. Heads or tails, he muttered. It's all just probability. Chapter 8. The glitch in the system. 1 week later, the federal prosecutors walked into the courtroom with their heads down. The arrest had been splashy. But science is slow, and the law is technical. The FBI lab had tested the destructive devices found in Beale's garage, the homemade pyrotechnics. They were certainly dangerous. But were they illegal under the specific federal statute used to charge him? The lab report came back. Items consistent with rocketry hobbyist materials. Cannot definitively classify as destructive devices without further intent to weaponize. It was a technicality, a loophole, without a confession, and without the DNA results back from the bomb fragments yet, they couldn't hold him on the explosives charge. We have to let him go, the prosecutor told Vicencia. You're joking. Vicencia slammed his hand on the desk. He has the chemicals. He bought the battery. Circumstantial. We need more. The judge dismissed the charges. Stephen Bial walked out of the Federal Detention Center. He was wearing his street clothes. He blinked in the sunlight. Waiting for him at the curb was a woman. She was blonde, pretty, younger than him. Valerie Stone. Valerie had met Stephen on a dating app just 2 months before the explosion. She knew about Ildiko. Stephen had told her they were just business partners. She believed him. She believed he was a gentle soul, a victim of overzealous police work. She hugged him. I knew it, she sobbed. I knew you didn't do it. Stephen held her tight. Over her shoulder, he saw the unmarked car parked across the street. He saw Agent Ackerman watching him. Stephen smiled. Let's go home, Val, he said. I have a lot of cleaning to do. As they drove away, the ghost of Ildiko Krajniak seemed to fade into the smog. But the investigation wasn't over. The FBI needed a way inside Stephen's head. They needed a Trojan horse. And Valerie Stone was sitting right in the passenger seat. Partaj Z. The Long Game. Chapter 8. Summer 2018. Freedom, for Stephen Bial, was a performance art. He had walked out of the Federal Detention Center not as a broken man, but as a protagonist who had survived the First Axe conflict. To the world, and specifically to Valerie Stone, he was the victim of a rushed judgment, a quirky hobbyist whose passion for rockets had been misinterpreted by a government desperate for a suspect. Valerie wanted to believe him. In fact, she needed to. She had a history of bad relationships, men who were stuck on their exes, men who wouldn't commit. But Stephen was different. He was attentive, he was present. And now, he was hers. It's over, she told herself as they drove down the freeway, the California sun bleaching the asphalt white. They dropped the charges. He's innocent. But the state didn't let go that easily. They were driving to run errands, a mundane slice of domesticity, when the flashing lights appeared in the rearview mirror. An Orange County sheriff's cruiser, then another, then a swarm. Valerie's heart hammered against her ribs. Pull over, Val, he said, his voice terrifyingly steady. She pulled the car to the shoulder. The loudspeaker crackled. Driver, step out of the vehicle. Do you see who is in the car with you? The deputy asked her as she stood by the roadside, the wind whipping her hair. Yes, Valerie snapped, her protective instinct flaring. You guys released him. You dropped the charges. What is the problem? It was harassment, pure and simple. That's what it felt like. They spent 3 hours on the side of the road. A bomb-sniffing dog circled their vehicle, sniffing at the tires, the doors, the trunk. Traffic slowed as rubberneckers gawked at the spectacle. Stephen sat on the curb, watching. You can open the posters? Valerie told the deputies aggressively as they rifled through the trunk, hitting record on her phone. We have nothing to hide. Valerie, face enough, they found exactly nothing. When they were finally allowed to leave, Valerie was shaking with rage. They just want to close the case, Val, he said softly. They don't care about the truth. They just want a body. A few months later, he cemented his hold on her. Valerie didn't hesitate. He gave her a ring, a diamond solitaire, over a carat. It was beautiful. In Neas, she moved into his house in Long Beach. She did her own due diligence, subtly at first. She went through his drawers, his socks, the corners of the garage. She found nothing suspicious. No wires, no secret journals, just the debris of a life lived by a man with too many hobbies. He's not a murderer, she told Stephen's daughter. Charlene, he's just Stephen. Charlene, who knew her father's eccentricities better than anyone, agreed. But wanting it and proving it were two different things. and the FBI was done guessing. Chapter 9, The Invisible Net, Fall 2018. While Steven and Valerie planned their wedding, Agent Nick Vicencia sat in a windowless room at the FBI field office, staring at a monitor until his eyes burned. The destructive device charge had been a swing and a miss. It was a technical failure. They wouldn't make that mistake again. This time, they weren't looking for a statute violation. They were building a murder case. We need the link, Vicencia muttered. The box, the battery, the chemistry. The team had been sifting through terabytes of data. CCTV footage, financial records, search histories. It was boring, grinding work. The kind of work that didn't make it into the movies. Then, a hit. A forensic accountant flagged a transaction on Stephen's bank statement. A cash withdrawal from an ATM. Cross-reference the location, Vicencia ordered. The ATM was down the street from a CVS. The date was 1 week before the bombing. Vicencia pulled the surveillance footage from the CVS. He scrubbed through the timeline. Stephen Beale, wearing a hat, standing at the counter. He placed a single item on the belt, a CVS brand 9-volt battery. He paid in cash. In case, lek, spiri, a CVS, gotcha. Why pay cash for a battery? A man who used credit cards for everything else? Because he didn't want a record. Why pay cash for a battery? But there was more. Another transaction, Staples. This time, Stephen had used his rewards card asleep in tradecraft, or perhaps the arrogance of a man who didn't think anyone would check. He bought a cardboard box, dimensions 12 by 6 by 6 inches. The survivor of the blast, the woman who had stood next to Ildiko, had described the box exactly. The battery matches the debris found in the ceiling, Ackerman noted, looking at the lab report. And now we have him buying the box and the battery days before the murder. It's circumstantial, the prosecutor warned. A jury might see a hobbyist buying supplies. We need intent, Vicencia said. What was in his head? They turned to his digital ghost. Stephen's search history. It was a window into a dark, narcissistic mind. He hadn't just been searching for acting roles. He had been searching for, do narcissists beat polygraphs? He's gaming it, Vicencia said. He thinks he's smarter than the machine. He thinks he's the lead character in his own thriller. We need to get inside that confidence, Ackerman said. We need someone he trusts. They looked at the photo of the happy couple on social media. Stephen Beale and Valerie Stone, smiling, the engagement ring glittering on her finger. Her, Vicencia pointed. She's the way in. Chapter 10. The proposition. Valerie was at work when the black SUV pulled up. 2 agents approached her. Valerie Stone, we need to talk to you. Off-site, she got into the black Suburban. It felt like an abduction, but she went willingly. She felt she had no choice. They drove her to a nearby park, a neutral ground where the birds were singing, completely indifferent to the gravity of the conversation about to happen. Leave your electronics in the car. They walked her to a bench. 1 agent stayed back, watching the perimeter. The other sat next to her. He opened a file folder. Valerie, you think you know Stephen, but you don't. He placed the photographs on the bench. And Stephen. Stephen, buying the box. Stephen, buying the battery. He killed her. Valerie. He built a bomb, put it in a box, and sent it to the woman he claimed to love. Valerie stared at the photos. Her stomach churned. No. He wouldn't. We need your help. We need you to be a cooperating witness. You mean an informant, she said, her voice trembling. We want the truth. If he's innocent, help us prove it. But if he's guilty, do you want to marry a man who did this? Valerie looked at the horizon. She loved Stephen. Or, she loved the version of him she knew. But the photos, the brutality of it. She was a moral person. I want you to catch the person who did this, she said finally. Even if it's Steven. Good, the agent said. Chapter 11, The Sting. The Malibu wine hike. The FBI didn't do things by halves. When Valerie mentioned she and Steven were planning a romantic getaway, a Malibu wine hike, the bureau stepped in. We'll pay for the hotel, the agent told her. But we need access. Valerie signed the consent forms. It was a nightmare. The weekend arrived. The hotel room in Malibu was luxurious, with a view of the ocean. But to Valerie, it felt like a prison cell. She knew that behind the mirrors, inside the lamps, there were cameras. Not just 2 people in the room, but 25. 23 of them were invisible, listening. Before they left, the agents gave her a gift, a necklace. Wear this, they said. Don't take it off. Wear this. It was a wire, a high-fidelity listening device disguised as jewelry. Oh, look what I found. Valerie chirped as she put it on in front of Steven. I haven't seen this in forever. I thought I lost it. Stephen smiled at her. Did he know? He was an actor. He studied human behavior. Did he see the tremor in her hands? The weekend was excruciating. They hiked through the vineyards, sipping wine under the California sun. Valerie's mind was racing. She had a script to follow. The agents had coached her. Get him angry. Bring up Ildiko. Make him confess. Bring up Ildiko. Stephen, she said as they sat on a balcony, the ocean crashing below. Do you ever think about her? About what happened? Stephen took a sip of Pinot Noir. He looked calm, serene even. I think about the tragedy, he said smoothly. It's terrible what happened to her. She didn't deserve that. But the police, they think you did it. Doesn't that make you mad? It makes me sad, Val. They need a villain. Villain. He didn't crack. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't slip up and mention a detail only the killer would know. He was perfectly, maddeningly consistent. Valerie tried harder. She pushed his buttons. She brought up the investigation, the injustice of it all. She wanted an outburst. She wanted the real Stephen to emerge. But the real Stephen, or perhaps the best performance of Stephen, remained cool, collected, and affectionate. Back at the command post, Vicencia and Marakel listened to the feed, static, wind, and Stephen Beale sounding for all the world like a grieving friend. He's good, Vicencia admitted, throwing his headset on the desk. He is very, very good. The sting was a bust. No confession, no smoking gun. Valerie drove home with Stephen, exhausted. Maybe he really is innocent, she thought. Chapter 12, The Actor's Craft. Winter 2019. The failure of the Malibu sting didn't stop the FBI. It just forced them to change tactics. If they couldn't get a confession, they would use his own life against him. Stephen, emboldened by the lack of movement in his case, went back to his life. He went back to acting. He was cast in a community theater production. The play, Deventai, Angry Jurors, Thi, Sana, Seventai, Seventai, Sana. The irony was so thick it was suffocating. Stephen Beale, the prime suspect in a federal murder case, was playing the foreman of a jury in a play about a murder trial. The FBI agents bought tickets. They sat in the audience, watching the man they were hunting deliver lines about justice and the death penalty. Just remember that this is a first-degree murder charge, Stephen intoned from the stage, his voice projecting to the back row. If we return a verdict of guilty, the accused goes to the electric chair. Vicencia watched from the darkness. It was surreal. Stephen was memorizing lines. He was performing complex monologues. Memorizing, il exera, his own disability, Vicencia whispered to Maracle. 4. Aphasia. Memory loss, inability to read. They had him. Not for murder, not yet, but for fraud. Stephen had been collecting disability payments for a decade, claiming he couldn't function. Yet here he was, reciting pages of dialogue, driving, building rockets, and allegedly building complex bombs. He's playing us, Miracle said. He's playing everyone. Stephen finished the play. The audience applauded. He took a bow, smiling that enigmatic smile. He thought he was free. He was wrong. March 3. 2019. It was a Sunday morning. Stephen kissed Valerie goodbye while she was still in bed and went out to run errands. Malisis, tu petas F. Malisis, Valerie rolled over, enjoying the quiet. It was Stephen. I've just been arrested, he said. He handed the phone to someone else. Valerie sat up, the blood draining from her face. Charges? Malicious destruction of a building resulting in death, the agent said. It wasn't a technicality this time. It wasn't about fireworks. This carries a potential sentence of life in federal prison, the news anchor would say later that night. The lab had finished its analysis. The pieces of the puzzle, the battery, the wire, the chemicals, the box, the lies, the narcissist search. The jealousy had finally been glued together into a picture of premeditated murder. Stephen was gone. And this time, he wasn't coming back. Valerie hung up the phone. She looked at the diamond ring on her finger. The ring paid for by a man who, the government said, had blown his former lover to bits. She didn't take it off. He didn't confess, she whispered to the empty room. He didn't do it. But as Stephen sat in the interrogation room, stripped of his stage and his props, the curtain was finally rising on the third act. And this time, there would be no applause. Part 5. The final act. Part 5. The final act. Part 5. Chapter 17. The Recreation. June 2023. The wheels of justice grind slowly, but they grind exceedingly fine. A year after the mistrial, the United States government was ready to try Stephen Beale again. They were not going to leave room, for probably this time, the prosecution team returned to the courtroom with a sharpened focus. They systematically dismantled the alternative theories that had muddied the waters in the first trial. There was simply no one who had that amount of overwhelming evidence against them, the prosecutor declared. Not her husband, not the handyman, not the pups, just Stephen Beale. But words were not enough. The first jury had struggled to visualize the mechanics of the crime. They needed to see the violence. They needed to understand the lethality of the chemistry found in the quaint suburban garage. So, the government built a bomb using the exact specifications derived from the forensic analysis, the same pipe, the same flash powder, the same battery. They created a replica of the device that killed Ildiko. They set it up in a controlled environment, placing it near a mannequin designed to mimic a human body. In the hushed courtroom, the lights were dimmed. On the screens, the video played. One moment, the mannequin was there. The jurors watched in stunned silence. The mannequin had disintegrated, a reporter observed. The hands and arms were blown into bits in very much the same way that Ildiko was found after she died. The distinct grayish-white smoke that filled the test chamber matched the smoke described by witnesses on Mare Blue. It was the signature of the oxidizer